Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by with the Season 6 meta update now fully in effect here in Warzone. Today I wanted to go through and break down the new top 10 best loadouts you want to be running. Nice mix of various different play styles in here, whether you're looking for some dominant close range, some dominant long range, something maybe a bit more versatile in between, sniping, sniper support. I got you guys covered with all of it here today. First things first, perks and equipment. This is going to be the same on every single loadout here today, as always. So smokes, still the meta. If you watched World Series of Warzone, you probably understand why. These are the answer to everything. You need some concealment to rotate. Pop these. You need a res. Pop these. They got the answer. They are the bailout in every single situation, right? Throwing knives, I like a lot still just for instant finishes. I play a lot of Resurgence, so obviously that's pretty clutch. That said, thermites are fantastic. Frags and stickies are fantastic as well. It's just really a matter of preference there. How much do you care about those insta finishes versus maybe lighting someone on fire or pushing them out of a building because you're using a thermite, right? And then for perks here, same as always as well. Mountaineer, double time, quick fix, and flex been my go-to for a long time. And as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now that out of the way, we can just focus on weapons for the rest of this video. And this first setup is an absolute beast. One of my personal favorites in the game and has been for some time. Kar98K, the most aggressive one-shot sniper that we've got, paired with the MCW conversion kit. This thing fries, low recoil, quick TTK, decently aggressive for a rifle as well. It's checking all the right boxes. So with the car setup here, not really changing all that much. They didn't really adjust this in any way, so we're just trying to maximize our effective damage range and get a good velocity, and this combination gives us the best one-shot range and then also the best velocity. So sonic suppressor on here, we got the 7.62 long barrel, then we have high grain, all extending our range and enhancing our velocity. So we get a 75 meter one-shot headshot range and a 925 velo, and that's fantastic for bullet lead and bullet drop. Makes the weapon very easy to use. I go for no stock on here just to have a more aggressive build in general, faster ADS, better strafe, everything like that. And then I use my personal favorite optic, the Antless AS7. If there's a different optic that you're more comfortable with, you find yourself to be more accurate with, always run that instead. It's just a matter of preference here, truly. So use whatever optic you're comfortable with. But yeah, the car is still obviously a great choice here. And when you pair with the MCW conversion kit, you're kind of set for all ranges. So I don't love the iron sights here, so I just go for the NIDAR model 2023. Again, same kind of deal going on here. If there's a different optic you like more, feel free to go ahead and run that instead. But NIDAR is one of my personal favorites. We obviously have the Raven kit on there. 40 round mag, extended mag is the maximum with the conversion kit. It's all right. It's not the greatest, like 50 or 60 would be ideal, but it gets the job done just fine. Paracord under barrel helps out with some strafe, some sprint to fire, also makes the gun a little bit easier to use. And then sonic suppressor extends out our range and that velocity some. This gun could definitely use some velocity help when you get into the mid-range, so having this on there to extend that's definitely very clutch in my opinion. But yeah, this thing kills quick and it's going to outgun a lot of SMGs up close, and then other options in the mid-range as well. Great sniper support. Next up here, we've got my alternative sniper setup, and this time it's the KATT, the infinite one-shot range, and I pair this with the Striker, which is a crazy good sniper support SMG. Obviously a lot more aggressive than the MCW, and the KATT's kind of the inverse. This is a lot slower and a lot heavier than the car, but it's got that infinite one-shot range as opposed to 75 meters for a one-shot range. So here, all we really care about is getting a good velocity stat. Nightfall suppressor will help out with that. Zang 34 barrel also helps out with that. High cal rounds help out with that as well. The range cons there do not matter since we have a one-shot headshot at 5 meters or 205 meters, right? I also go for the tac pad stock on here. This speeds up that ADS time, and as the saying goes, when your ADS is 756 milliseconds, you got a lot of time to do some activities, some chores, catch up on some homework, send out some emails. So if you can help out that stat at all, you go for it, and tac pad does that a little bit. I also go for the quick bolt on there if you're looking for a quick little screenshot to save. There you go. Quick bolt obviously just allowing me to get my shots off faster. Back to back to back. And then Striker setup here, really optimized for sniper support. Quartermaster suppressor is going to keep this gun super easy to use and accurate with the recoil benefits. Recon long barrel, extending out our range and our velocity. And then high grain is going to do more of the same. I find this weapon to be very easy to use, especially with the Quartermaster on there, so the recoil cons don't matter here. And we got basically a 20 meter effective damage range, then a very minimal drop off beyond that. You're gonna have a great TTK in the mid range. DR6 hand stop still keeps this snappy and aggressive here with strafe speed, general movement, ADS, sprint to fire, then just your basic 60 round extended mag on here. I personally like the iron sights. If you really can't live without an optic here, you're probably going to be looking at dropping either the hand stop or the quartermaster suppressor, and that's just a matter of which you value less than the other. But for the most part, this is a great sniper support choice in my opinion, and it works on really any map. Following that, loadout number 3 features one of our brand new weapons in the DTIR 30-06. This thing is arguably the best gun in the game, and I pair this with the WASP-9. Great SMG choice, and for what it's worth, you can mix and match a lot of the primaries and secondaries here today. WASP-9 though is going to be just a very reliable SMG, especially in its first damage range. It's going to be easy to use, it's relatively quick, fast TTK, it's doing it all just fine, right? Don't like the irons though. They're too bulky, too clunky for my liking, so I go for NIDAR there. 50 round extended mag, very basic. High grain ammo here. It's more effective than the barrel at extending the range and the velocity in this case. DR6 hand stop, I would prefer paracord or jack slash, but this thing needs some help with its ADS, and DR6 hand stop will help out with that. Then quartermaster suppressor, again, just to keep the gun super easy. You could do Zem as well if you wanted to. You could use a sonic suppressor if you're really comfortable with the control here. Really just matters for your personal level of comfortability with this gun and your personal preference and how you want it to feel. But yeah, it's a really reliable SMG and has been for some time. And man, the DTIR, I am loving this thing. It feels so good, so easy to use, especially with this setup. Quartermaster suppressor, you basically got no recoil because we're also pairing that with the Rifleman 200 stock, which helps out with recoil even more. So like, this thing's a straight laser beam. You extend the range and the velocity with the long barrel on there, so you have a 1200 velo. When you stack that with high grain ammo, it's gonna feel like hit scan at every single range. It's got a decent damage range as well. Lastly, 40 round extended mag, very basic there. Fire rate doesn't go too crazy, so you're not gonna burn through ammo, and this thing absolutely melts. Now, loadout 4 here, featuring none of the static and fuzz from the last one because it's not a haunted variant. We got the STG, which yes, it was nerfed, but it's still low recoil. It's still got insane velocity. Even though its TTK is not the fastest, it's incredibly easy to use, and that means it's a lot more forgiving than maybe some other faster TTK options. And I pair this with a Superi, which somehow wasn't adjusted, and this is my fast build where you just absolutely fly around the map. Our attack sprint speed, 8.3 meters. Absolutely crazy. With the short barrel on there, we stack jack slash on there, which helps out with that attack sprint and general sprint speed on there. We got high grain just to keep that range and that velocity decent enough. 40 round extended mag, and then Rescue 9 stock's gonna do even more for your attack sprints and your base sprint speed. So this thing zooms and it feels so good. It's one of my favorite loadouts ever since I switched to this build, and I've been having a blast using this. Then the STG, nothing really changed here as far as the setup goes because they just nerfed the ranges on it. So keeping this setup is basically going to mean it's like if you didn't have attachments on the build beforehand with the ranges, right? Kind of works out to that. So not our model 2023 for me, but if you need, you know, a 2.5 or a 4 times or whatever optic, go for it. You're fine. 50 round extended mag, paracord, underbarrel, decent horizontal control, and it keeps it relatively aggressive with the movement. Quartermaster suppressor, no recoil, and then the C70 long barrel, better range, better velocity. So the range stat still is decent enough for sure, and then pretty good velocity on there to 1165. So it's gonna feel like hit scan in a lot of situations. It's gonna be easy to use, and in turn your TTK is gonna be very reliable, even though it was nerfed. Now loadout 5 is definitely a very fun one. We've got the new Kastov LSW, admittedly not nearly as good as the DTIR, but whenever there are new weapons, I always make sure to include them in this top 10 loadouts video every season, just because I want to make sure you guys have loadouts for these new guns. Realistically speaking, this is not a true contender, but for those of you interested in leveling it up and trying it out, this is the sort of versatile build that I've been running. We talked about this one just the other day, but it's an ADS based build. It's decent for like the mid range. For an LMG, this is actually relatively aggressive, which is kind of a nice change of pace, but its TTK is not anything too crazy. I go for the glassless optic just for some stability with like the firing aim stability on there. Keeps it a little bit easier to use. The D20 long barrel helps out that range and that velo, so we're up over 1100, which is pretty solid. Quartermaster suppressor, very useful here because there is a lot of recoil on this thing. It definitely bounces up when you start firing it. That's why I also use jack slash to keep it both aggressive, but then also help out with that vertical recoil even more. And then just the high grain ammo on here. This is more of a preference thing for versatility, so I am a little bit better and more effective in the mid range. But if you really cared about control, you could try dropping that and putting on a stock or a rear grip and seeing how that worked for you as well. But yeah, it's an all right LMG, sort of middle of the pack, but definitely a fun one to mess around with for sure. And then the static somehow didn't get adjusted, so the setup's not really getting adjusted either. Light stock on here, decent mobility across the board. Not our model 2023, just not a fan of the iron, so do run that. Feel free to change the optic if you need. Long barrel is still too good to pass up in my opinion. The light barrel would be the only other thing I would run in this case, but for me, 25% across the board for range and velocity is so good. Quartermaster Suppressor, of course, to keep it easy, then Paracord to keep it easy and aggressive at the same time. Best of both worlds. Like I said, nothing really changing with our static build. And by the way, as we are going through all the weapons, all the setups here today, if you enjoy the video, if you find it helpful at all, a like rating would be seriously appreciated. Help share the video around to new viewers. And if you happen to be one of those new viewers, or maybe you just have not subscribed yet, we should change that. Every single day, I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, and meta breakdowns like this. So to guarantee you are always in the know, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Next up, another pretty reliable combo for TTK, the Eradicator, which can fry so long as you know what you're doing with the recoil here, as it sort of changes based on the fire rate. It starts off faster then slows down. And then I paired this with the BP50 conversion kit, and this thing's a ton of fun for that close range sort of play style. Can outgun a lot of SMGs because the TTK here, and it actually just caught a buff with the Revenger kit on there. So I do go for high grain ammo, extends out that range and that velocity, obviously pretty clutch there. Sonic Suppressor is going to do more of the same. If you can extend that out with a fast TTK, it's obviously going to be very good. I go for the Kimura laser, faster ADS and sprint to fire, and then you're so limited on attachments. If you really want an optic, you could run that. I like the iron sights a lot though, so then you're just left with the rear grip, and Trust 4 is about the only one that's worth it. It's going to help out that recoil some. It's going to hurt your idle sway, and that doesn't matter when you're fighting 15 meters and closer, so you're kind of just left with that. But it gets the job done. Like, this is a really solid close range option. Then the Eradicator for the mid to long range is great as well. So on here, Quartermaster and Paracord means it's going to be easy to use, but also still be decently aggressive for an LMG. Conquer 70 long barrel, better range and velocity. 1255 for the Velo means your hit scan range is going to be pretty much every single fight you're realistically taking with this thing, unless you're just trying to shoot from downtown on Urzikstan all the way up to Popov or something. High grain ammo is going to help out that range and that velocity as well, of course. And then I go for the core stock just because I really like the irons on this as well. They're like the scars, basically. This will make the gun a little bit easier to use. If you need a scope on here, you could drop the core stock. That's mostly a matter of preference. Following that, a generally very aggressive setup here. The Bal 27 paired with the FJX Horus. This has your close range covered. The damage drop off on this is steep, but if you're playing mad aggressive with this, the Horus, like when you're clearing out buildings or pushing late game, it's going to fry up close. Then the Bal 27 is one of the more reliable rifles that we've got now. Fast TTK, really easy to use after all the control buffs that it's gotten over the past couple of updates here. So I go for the 60 round mag. You're gonna need this when you start spraying and praying, because you do burn through ammo with that faster fire rate. High grain ammo, better range, better velocity. We're up over 1,000 for the Velo, so that's always a good sign. Paracord and Quartermaster, of course, that deadly duo. The Crown H3 barrel will also help out with range and velocity as well. So this thing is versatile and it's easy, and it's relatively aggressive for a rifle as well, which is very fun. Then for the Horus setup here, I go for the basic 60 round extended mag. Gonna need that with this fast fire rate as well. Ripper light stock helps out with some strafe, some general movement, and your sprint to fire. Don't love the irons here either, so I do go for Nidar once again. Sin 9 long barrel just to keep it a little bit more versatile, basically out to a 10 meter effective damage range before it drops off. Okay velocity for that range. Then Quartermaster Suppressor, I'm deadly accurate with this on there as opposed to some other compensators and whatnot, so I like that accuracy stat to be as high as possible, of course, and that's what helps me out the most there. So definitely a fun setup, and it pairs really good with a lot of different rifles. Hey everyone, quickly want to give a big shout out to my friends over at G Fuel. If you're looking to stay energized or hydrated, look no further than G Fuel. They got a little bit of something for everyone. If you need to focus up and need some extra energy, the cans and the tubs got you covered there. And if you're just looking to stay hydrated, they've got the hydration formula as well. And of course, if you're looking to save some money, because let's be honest, who doesn't want to save a little extra cash, you can throw in code Immortal at checkout and get 20 to 30% off any given item on the site. Obviously, with Black Ops 6 on the horizon, you want to make sure you're stocked up, so if you're looking to grab anything at all from the G Fuel site, check out the link down in the description below. Loadout number 8, an honestly underrated one. Two weapons that had been so close to being in the meta conversation all year, and after receiving so many buffs, it seems like they're like right there basically. The MCW's gotten like 4 or 5 buffs in a row to the base weapon, and for mid to long range now, it's actually a really reliable choice. It's super easy to use, so I don't even go for an underbarrel in this case. I go for Quartermaster for the control, then Cyclone long barrel for the range and the velocity, then I stack that with high grain, so we're up over 1,000. We got a 48 meter effective damage range. That's going to be great with the buffs that this just got. 60 round extended mag and a 2.5 times eagle eye, and like, you're set. This thing is as straightforward as it really gets, to be honest. Then you pair this with something like the Rival or maybe one of those other SMGs that might have caught your eye. This thing kills quick, and it's also very reliable. Don't love the irons, so yet again, I'm going for Nidar model 2023. 50 round extended mag. Then here I go for both high grain and a barrel, which I don't usually do on SMGs. I'd like to opt for a muzzle where I can, but I want to get that range out there. I want to get that velo up on this thing in specific. I feel like it kind of thrives and separates itself when you're fighting at 12, 15, 18 meters in some cases. So high grain and then the clear shot barrel on there do help out with that, and they also make it a bit easier to use. Then paracord works here, Jack Slash would work here, DR6 hand stop would work here. You've got some options for sure, but yeah, don't sleep on the rival. This thing's actually very, very good. All right, a little bit of post-edit Zach here, because initially I was gonna have the RAL conversion kit, the Jack Proteon, on here because, well, the initial nerf that it was supposed to get with Season 6 didn't actually go through, but of course, naturally, KATT timing IRL, they nerfed it pretty severely about 30 minutes before I was ready to post this video. So in its place, we got a different marksman style weapon, the MCW 6.8. Phenomenal TTK, and also this build in specific has, I think, over 1500 velocity. It's crazy. Basically hit scan at all ranges. On here, I'm rocking the 2.5 times Eagle Eye. You could use whatever optic you're comfortable with, though. The 60 round extended mag, sonic suppressor for better range, better velocity. Brew and heavy support, because this helps out a ton on semi-auto guns with recentering, firing aim stability, and idle sway benefits there are huge. Plus, when you're spamming it, it helps out some with the control as well. And then the Spire Point rounds give you a crazy, crazy velocity buff as well. So like I said, this is basically hit scan, meaning if you're accurate with it, you're just gonna fry players and put them down very, very quickly, even over some pretty extreme ranges. And then lastly, we kind of got my mess around loadout. We got the heavy and we've got the fast, right? So the fast and the furious basically is what this the setup is, right? The Pulemyot base LMG now no longer using the conversion kit. This thing has a crazy good TTK over range. It's just super slow and super heavy, right? Your reload is going to take forever. Your movement is not going to be great. You're going to be running around with cinder blocks on your feet, but get those sights up and you're kind of set. This thing will melt. 2.5 times Eagle Eye on here. High grain ammo. You pair this with the barrel. We're up over 1,000 velo and a 48 meter effective damage range. Heavy barrel on there's the best combo for that. Jack Slash, just to speed it up maybe a little bit, get some movement in here if I have to have this out and I'm trying to like quickly rotate or reposition. Also helps out with the control a little bit. Brew and heavy would work here. You could use something like a skeletal vertical or even the Kimura Sephiric vertical grip. Those would both be like viable choices too. You could bounce back and forth between a bunch of these and see what works well for you. And then Quartermaster Suppressor, again, just for laser accuracy. It's already a pretty easy to use gun, and that just helps out even more, honestly. And then this Gallows setup that I've been running for a little bit that I initially saw Gumi talking about a little while back is great for tack stance. That's where I flip this into, and then you can just go crazy up close. Put it into semi-auto where it's better, and then tack stance, spray and pray. No stock helps out with movement and your tack stance, spread. Kimura Laser helps out with your tack stance spread, and then full choke's going to extend that damage range. The 900 heavy barrel's going to extend that damage range, and Dragon's Breath will as well, so you get a better chance of like a 2 to 3 shot knock within about 8 to 10 meters or so. So this thing's actually really annoying to run into up close, but also really good up close as well. And that being said, those are 10 of the best loadouts to be running in Warzone in Season 6, and that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like on it, and on your way out, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.